Good morning to all. Today we will be discussing the details of a BLAST program that is used for similarity search. I think the screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me share the presentation right now. Okay. So, as we discussed in the previous sessions, BLAST is a basic local alignment search tool. That's the that's abbreviated as BLAST. Now, this is an algorithm for comparing primary biological sequence information such as amino acid sequence of proteins or nucleic acid sequences of DNA or RNA. A BLAST search enables a researcher to compare a query sequence with a library or a database sequence with a very large set of database sequence, just like say a 16S RNA sequence in your hand that you have sequenced, and you want to identify that one. You need to query that sequence against the entire set of data that is present in the NCBI database. So you are a researcher, you want to compare your query sequence with a large library or a database sequence just like that of NCBI, and you want to identify the library sequence that are resembling your query sequence, so that if there is a match above a certain threshold, you can identify that this is a same sequence or this is the a somewhat similar sequence that is present in the database, so that it will be easy for you to identify your sequence, unknown sequence. It is developed by Stefan Altschul in 1990 from NCBI. And since then, it becomes one of the most popular programs for sequence analysis. BLAST uses heuristic methods to align a query sequence with all sequences in the database. So your query will be aligned against all the available sequences in the concerned database that you are selecting. The objective is to find high-scoring ungapped segments among related sequences. So, will high scoring segment pairs or high unscoring segments. That means usually if you have say a sequence in your hand that may have a length of say 1,000 nucleic acid length, a DNA sequence of a 1,000 base pair length that is with you for identification. That's your query sequence, and you are searching against your database. So you can't expect the entire 1,000 sequences to be matching exactly against the database. So it can be broken as different segments. So maybe at least some regions, some local regions of that segment will have high amount of similarity or almost 100% similarity to some of the regions in the database sequences. So that regions were actually known as the high scoring segment pairs, and we will see how it is scored later. But high scoring segment pairs are actually subsequences or in between regions of your query sequence that is identified with high similarity to some of the regions of the database. It's because your entire sequence of 1,000 base pairs may not be, you can't expect that 1,000 base pairs to be exactly matching any of the database sequence. There may be some differences. So in that case, you look for high scoring segment pairs where such local segments of, or regions or subsequences of your query can be identified, which will exactly match some of the regions in the database sequences. So that's the first part. So the objective is to find high scoring ungapped segment pairs, which are actually conserved domains, which may not have any mutations in that region, which will have exact matches in the database. And the existence of such segments above a given threshold indicates pairwise similarity beyond random chance. So if you can identify such sequences, such high scoring regions, then that means there is a pairwise similarity and it is not a random match that we can identify. which helps to discriminate related sequences from unrelated sequences in the database. So once you identify that related sequences or somewhat similar sequences, the remaining region can be identified, or that region can be attempted for further alignment. So you are instead of completely searching for your entire length of the sequence, subsequences of the sequence or high scoring regions will be identified and matched with the database. And if that regions will be matching with any of the sequences in the database, then that group of the database sequence can be selected for further alignment. That's how the BLAST is working. And BLAST is popular as a bioinformatic tool due to its ability to identify regions of local similarity between two sequences quickly. So the BLAST is actually it is popular. It's not because of its a specificity or accuracy, but it is because of its rapid response. So compared to the other algorithms, say we have already discussed the dynamic programming methods based on letter by letter alignment or that comparison, which is using Smith-Waterman algorithm or say Needleman-Wunsch algorithm, in which every letter will be compared, every possibility is compared, which actually, as I mentioned, it is a very computationally demanding process. Whereas we have the FASTA. FASTA in that case, actually, the exact word is searched for. So there is no mutations in the because it is a word-based search. The exact word should be there. So it won't allow any flexibility in the means. For example, say if you are searching for alignment, it won't give you a match with the ligament. So, or if you have a single letter change or a mutation in that target sequence, it won't match in case of a say a FASTA query, because it is exactly searching for the words. If the word is not matching, if there is any mistake, then just like a find function of a word, Microsoft Word, in which you are searching, if the letter is not matching, if there is a spelling mistake, it won't find any, it won't return any hits. That's how the FASTA works. But whereas in the case of a BLAST, it allows some amount of similarity. Exact match is not looking for. Say if you are constructing a word with a five-letter word, and it will also return you a three-letter or four-letter similarity. Say exact five-letter match need not be expected in the target. So you have constructed a word like a keyword for searching with 5 letter as a k value of 5. And if you are searching with FASTA, the exact 5 letter should be matching in the database. Whereas in the case of a BLAST, 4 will be sufficient. If you are setting the threshold as a 4, 4 will be sufficient. 1 letter mutation or error will be accepted in BLAST. And that is similarity. So the exact match and similarity is different because it is almost say 80% similar, and that will be identified and accepted in the case of a BLAST search, because it is looking for local regions of similarity, not for exact matches. Okay. Then BLAST calculates an expectation value or E value, we'll see it later, the E value, which estimates the number of matches between two sequences. So the expectation value or E value is actually calculated by the BLAST using a statistical calculation. It will be calculated, and that is the actual estimation of the match between the two sequences. So if you have a query sequence that is compared against the database sequence, that can be scored based on the E value. So the E value is actually a statistical estimation of the similarity, and it uses a local alignment of sequences. Now, while BLAST is faster than any Smith-Waterman implementation for most cases, it cannot guarantee the optimal alignments of the query and database sequence as Smith-Waterman does. The difference is that Smith-Waterman is actually a dynamic programming method, which is a computationally demanding intensive search process, which compares almost every possibility of alignment between that sequence. Whereas in this case, BLAST is actually a quicker method, which is actually a rapid search method. So it will return you some results, but you cannot guarantee that that is the optimal alignment. That's the normal problem with such a faster methods, which in which we are not trying every possibilities. That is the reason. So because we will randomly look for some similar regions, and if the similarity is identified, then it will be compared in detail. So that's what BLAST and FASTA do. Whereas in case of a dynamic programming method, every possibility is attempted, and that's why say in the previous example that I mentioned in the last day, say you are looking for petrol pumps from Calicut to Thrissur, and if you set a path, if you assume that the pumps will be on both sides of the highway, and you are setting a path along that one and looking for that one, then you can quickly identify all the pumps except a few which may be present in some of the remote locations or in the same district, and that possibility is there. That's what you can compare the case of a Smith-Waterman algorithm or a Needleman-Wunsch algorithm, in which say the dynamic programming method actually that works based on comparing all the possibilities. So it will run an intensive search compare with all the possibilities, and it will find all options. Every alignments will be found. Whereas in the case of a BLAST, it is quicker. It won't search for all the possibilities, but the best possibilities will be identified in a quicker fashion. So that's why it is said that it will not guarantee optimal alignments of the query sequence, but it is faster. And the optimality of the Smith-Waterman ensured the best performance on accuracy and most precise result at the expense of time and computational power, because it is a difference between a quicker method and the rapid and the computation intensive search method. The BLAST is more time efficient than FASTA by searching only for for the more significant patterns in the sequence, yet with a comparative sensitivity. So we can say that when we compare FASTA and BLAST, BLAST is a little bit more efficient because it is efficient than FASTA because the more significant patterns in sequences were actually searched, where the FASTA actually they look for exact matches and some amount of precision will be there. Whereas in case of a BLAST, it will look for similarity. So more similar sequences will be returned, and as a result, it will give you more possibilities of alignments. For example, BLAST will say you can align in this way or that way. Alternative alignments can be suggested by BLAST because it will look for such similar sequence or similar alignments also. Whereas the FASTA actually it looks for exact matches of the words, and it calculates only one optimal alignment. And it may be more precise, but the results will be more when we compare FASTA with the BLAST. Now there are variants of the BLAST, and this table actually it will give you a better idea on the different types of a BLAST. So we have the query sequence. You have only two possibilities, that is DNA or RNA. So DNA or RNA or nucleic acid query or a protein query. That is the two options that we have. And we have a database just like an NCBI database or say UniProt database. The database may be of a DNA or protein like NCBI or GenBank or DBJ for DNA, and a UniProt KB database for protein. So your DNA query can be run against a DNA database or a protein database. Also, your proteins query can be searched against a DNA database or a protein database, and based on which you require your query, the nature of the query and the target database, you will have multiple options of the BLAST. And on a few days back, some of the students contacted me back when they attempted the practicals that it is not working. The query is rejected when we submitted the BLAST. It is because you have to submit a DNA query against a DNA BLAST option, or a protein query against a protein BLAST option. If your option is different, then it will not accept. Okay. Now, here the BLAST N is actually, it compares a nucleotide sequence against a nucleotide database. For example, you have a DNA sequence or RDNA sequence of a 16S RNA, which is sequenced in your lab, and you want to find out the organism or identify the organism and classify that one. You can use an NCBI database DNA search with BLAST-EN. So that BLAST-EN is the tool that needs to be used when comparing a DNA sequence against a DNA. So you have to set from the homepage of the BLAST of the NCBI, they will provide multiple BLAST options, BLAST-EN, BLAST-P, etc. So you have to select BLAST-EN if your query is a DNA sequence. Now, you have BLAST-EX compares the nucleotide sequences against a protein sequence. So you have a DNA sequence and you want to find the proteins that is probably coded from that DNA. So you can perform a DNA sequence query against a protein sequence database using BLAST-EX. So that is this option. So the database in which you are querying is a protein sequence database. So the result will be proteins. Now, the TBLAST-EN, the TBLAST-EN is it compares protein sequences against 6 reading frame translations of the nucleotide sequences. So that means your query is a protein sequence. You are searching against a DNA database. So proteins cannot be directly aligned against a protein, against a DNA. So what it requires is that the software will first of all translate the DNA sequence into a protein sequence. So there are tools for computational translation of the DNA sequence of the database. So every database sequence is translated computationally into the 6 reading frames. 6 reading frames, that concept I think you know that, because for every DNA you have 2 strands and both the strands will have sequences. So if there is a DNA database, it is represented with 2 strands. And in both the strands, we have 3 options of reading frames, starting with the letter 1, 2, 3, or the first triplet will be 1, 2, 3. The second triplet will be 4, 5, 6. And that in that manner you can read the code and translate accordingly. Whereas if you skip the first, or if there is a mutation on the first one and you start with 2, 3, 4, 5, then 5, 6, 7, something like that, you can read accordingly. It will give you another set of proteins that is coded by a frame shift. And another option is you can skip first 2 and then you can again start reading the codon. So you will have another set of 3 triplets that will generate another set of proteins, right? So every DNA sequence can be translated computationally using every DNA strand. A single strand can be translated in 3 fashions or using 3 sets of codons. That is a reading frame. 3 reading frames are possible in a single DNA. And for a DNA strand, you have 2 strands. Complementary strand is also there. So a DNA can be translated in 6 possibilities. 6 reading frames can be used. And normally for a functional gene, it will have only 1 reading frame. The other ones will not be open, and that means open reading frame for a DNA means it will have a functional gene and coding sequence that can be continuously translated till the end of the protein. There will not be any termination codons that is encountered in between. Usually, if there is a frame shift that results in an incorrect coding pattern, prematurely that protein will be terminated because of some accidental encounter with some, say, termination codons. So we have, for every DNA, we have 6 possibilities of translation. That is known as 6 reading frame concept. And usually there will be only 1 reading frame that will functionally code for continuously without interrupting the translation. Only 1 reading frame, known as non-open reading frame, will be continuously translated. And that can be identified if you have methods for testing all the 6 reading frame possibilities and see what is the functional protein that can be coded from that region. So your DNA, you have a protein query, your DNA will be translated accordingly, and all the possible protein sequences using 6 reading frame possibilities will be calculated. And now you will get a functional protein sequence from that translation, computational translation. Your protein query will be compared against that type of translated sequences. There you require TBLAST-N. And BLAST-P is another one which compares protein sequence against a protein database. So if you have protein sequence, just you want to identify the protein from the database, then the simplest option is BLAST-P, and P indicates a protein sequence BLAST. Now TBLAST-X is another one which is mentioned here. This TBLAST-VX it compares to 6 reading frame translations of the nucleotide sequence against the 6 reading frame translation of the protein. So anyway, I have explained the T-BLAST-N, in which the translated sequence or 60 frame translation, that concept is explained already. So you have a DNA sequence and a query and DNA database. So both the sequences need to be translated. Your query will be translated computationally. Your target DNA database will also need to be translated, and the resulting protein, translated protein sequence from both the query and database sequence will be compared. And that alignment is actually done in using T-BLAST-X. Then PSI-BLAST is another blast which is already discussed in one of the previous sessions when we discussed the position-specific metrics or position-specific iterative metrics that is discussed in one of the previous sessions. So in which case the blast will be recalculated. The scoring pattern will be readjusted after comparing with some similar sequence. Initially, there will be a search that is conducted during the blast with some homologous sequences, and that cluster of the homologous sequences will be used for generating a position-specific matrix, and that value generated from the position-specific matrix will be applied in further search. So that is known as a PSI-BLAST. You can refer back to the previous video that is already loaded if you are interested. And PSI-BLAST is a blast method which uses position-specific iterative matrix. And MegaBLAST is another in which we are comparing many query sequences, and that's also more similar or homologous, highly homologous sequences will be compared with the MegaBLAST. Usually, the default option of blast is a MegaBLAST. So, in which you assume that your sequence will have a highly similar or exact sequence match that is present in the database. So, initially, by default, blast will be MegaBLAST. So alternatively, if you are not getting any good hits or results from that one, you can bring down the stringency so that, okay, if the exact match is not, is there any somewhat similar sequences? You can bring down the stringency. Again, if you are not getting any query, then you can again bring down if somewhat or some related sequences were there or not. Then you can select another option. So that a highly dissimilar, maybe initial case, MegaBLAST may return you with 99.9% similar sequences only, or 90% similar sequences only. Whereas if you bring down that stringency, then you can have sequences with 50% or less than similarity. So that possibility is there. We will see different options when performing the blast. So this is the home page. Blast, yes?
Sir?
Yes.
So just a doubt, why are we even considering the coding 5' strand for translation, because it's not even transcripted, right? Why is BLAST even considering that strand for protein sequence alignment? അത് കോംപ്ലിമെന്ററി ആയിരിക്കില്ലേ, അത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലല്ലോ ട്രാൻസ്ക്രിപ്ഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്?
No, actually you don't know that because you have only a database with a DNA sequence.
Okay.
Okay, here in the problem is that say if you are considering the T-BLAST-N, here you have a protein sequence, and to compare that protein sequence with a DNA sequence, where or say you want to identify the gene that is called gene coding region in the database.
Okay.
Okay, you have a protein and you want to identify the region of the DNA that is, or you don't know that sequence is obtained from organism X or organism Y, and which region of the DNA is actually coding for that particular protein. You don't know that. In that case, you want to identify the region of the DNA that is corresponding to this protein. Okay.
Okay.
So the only possibility is that the entire database DNA needs to be translated computationally, right?
Right.
And for a computational algorithm, it doesn't know where to start and where to end, right?
Okay.
And in that case, it will try for all the possibilities, right? All the possibilities of a translation. All the possibilities of translation means that double-stranded DNA can be, both the strands can be translated. Okay.
Okay.
Both the strands can be alternatively translated using 3 possible reading frames. So for a computational translation means you have 6 possibilities of reading frames are there.
Okay.
And normally only one will be functional. In every DNA, you have only one possible open reading frame there. and that will sequence only that reading frame will be continuously translated. Otherwise, after a 5 or 10 base 5 or 10 amino acid addition, it will prematurely terminate because of some encounter with some termination codon.
Right.
So usually for every DNA or for every DNA segment or every gene, it will have only one possible continuous reading segment, and that is known as open reading frame. So to identify that one, the software needs to calculate all the possibilities to find out which will be the reading frame that will result in the highest or longest protein. Right. So
Okay.
the computational algorithm or the 60 different that translation tool will consider all the possible readings. So as a human, you may say, just I am asking you to read the blast text, this sentence compares nucleotide sequences against the protein sequences. This is a you can, if I am asking you to read this one, you will apply your logic to say read the words and identify the meaning, right?
Yes.
But if I am say merging all these words, then you have to find where to insert the spaces and separate the words and extract meaning, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So for a computational program to determine where to insert the gap or what are the codons, that is the positions corresponding to the codon, it needs to compare all the possibilities. So anyway, here the word length is 3. So every three possible possible 3 words will be generated and compared. Or this space or separation between the words needs to be inserted and it will try. So wherever it generates some meaning. Okay. Similarly, for a computational translation, the software needs to consider all the different possibilities, 6 reading frame possibilities, because for every single reading frame or a single DNA strand, 3 possible readings are possible. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and also 2, 3, 4. And by skipping one letter, you can start another reading frame. Or by skipping 2 letters, you can start the 3rd reading frame in a single strand. And the same is possible in the 2nd strand also. So possibly the computer will try, or the algorithm will try all the possible 6 reading frames and find out which one will be the open reading frame, which will result in the continuously translated protein.
Okay.
So that is required, and then only you can identify the concerned region of the DNA which is actually corresponding to the protein. So once it is identified and that protein is matching to your query sequence, then the software can return, or the query can be returned with a result that your protein is matching with this particular DNA sequence in the database. So possibly that may be the gene that is coding for that one.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
Sir, so what is you talked about 6-frame translation of nucleotide sequence, right? But what is 6-frame translation of protein sequence? Adendana?
6 reading frame translation of protein 6, I didn't mention that one.
TBLASTX, sir?
TBLASTX is actually you are giving a DNA sequence.
Okay.
Okay. So your DNA sequence, and you want to compare whether there's a functional protein produced or not.
Okay.
So in that case, instead of, because one problem is that there may be introns and other things. It may not match exactly.
Yes.
So in that case, if you are translating this protein sequence, okay, initially instead of comparing DNA to DNA, and say one possibility is I can say you that such similar possibilities are there when some mutations will result in the silent mutations will be there. Say the silent mutations, actually if you are comparing the DNA with the DNA, what happens? There will be mismatches because there are mutations. But if you translate this DNA into a protein and translate this DNA into a protein and compare the proteins will be similar because it will have the same amino acid inserted, even though it is having a separate DNA sequence, that is because of the wobble nature. Okay.
Yes.
So the DNA and DNA may not be exactly matching if there is a mutation that resulted in there is no amino acid change in that case.
Yes.
So to find out that one, you can use this one. For example, you will translate this DNA into protein, and also the database sequence will be translated into protein, and compare the protein and see whether it is coding for the same sequence.
Okay.
So that is possible with the TBLASTX.
No, sir, but it's written there 6-frame translation of protein sequence. Adana ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചത്.
Yeah, to generate a protein from this one, you need 6 reading frame translation of this DNA.
DNA okay. Against the 6
So
prime translation of protein sequence എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതെന്താണെന്നാണ് ചോദിച്ചത്.
which one?
T-BLAST X definition.
Compares the 6 reading frame translation of the nucleotide sequence against the 6 reading frame translations of the. Okay. Okay, it's not. It may be the text that is different. So in the
Okay.
case, it's not protein, the corresponding DNA sequence in the database. So the position, the table is self-explanatory. That is here is another query sequence, DNA
Okay.
DNA database sequence. Okay, DNA.
Nucleotide with nucleotide.
Yeah, that's it. So
Okay.
this term is a different one. So this
Okay.
table is self-explanatory because DNA is translated into protein. This
Yeah.
DNA is translated into protein, and both the proteins will be compared.
Okay, sir.
So and the role is to actually because if you are looking for silent mutations and still you want to where the protein is same, the same amino acid will be coded from that thing, and still you can identify the same protein if you are performing that one. So that's the role, and this is actually this is not that exact term. That's why. So here the 6 reading frame translation of the DNA in the query sequence against the 6 reading frame translation of the database sequence. That is the exact definition. Okay, 6 reading frame translation of the DNA query sequence against the 6 reading frame translation of the DNA database sequence. That will be the sufficient explanation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Now this is the interface which shows the different options in the BLAST interface, where you have a nucleotide BLAST and BLASTX, BLASTN, protein BLAST. All are provided. If you are looking for a nucleotide query, you can click on the nucleotide BLAST. So your query will be nucleotide. So that sequence can be pasted here, as I have already posted in the video on practical sessions. You have many options, like at least 3 options are there. One, you can simply paste a sequence without the first command line. It is not a FASTA file. The only sequences will be there. Okay, without the command line of the FASTA file, you can directly paste the sequence and proceed. Or if you have say some exact GenBank accession ID of that sequence, you can just enter the accession ID, accession number in this box. So either the accession number or the sequence, or you can upload a FASTA file. FASTA file actually it should have the command line or the greater than sign and the comments and the sequence in the second line. That format file needs to be saved in the computer, and that can be browsed and uploaded as a third option. And also, if you are say giving an accession ID, for example, a chromosome accession number can be given in this point, and the query subrange, for example, starting from the base 22,000 to 23,000. So if you are giving a very long DNA sequence in the form of an accession number, then you need to specify which region of that longer sequence or from the database needs to be compared. So here you can paste the accession number of a large chromosome or wherever the source of that DNA, and specify the range of the number and starting from which base and ending at which base that can be mentioned in this case. Anyway, for the practical purpose, it is not required. You can just paste the sequence or upload the FASTA file. And you can also give a job title, your name or whatever. You can give the job title. Now, there is an option for a different database. Usually the standard nucleotide database, NR bar NT, it is the maximum possible search that is possible in the NRNT database or nucleotide database. But if you have various other options like specific organisms or genomic transcripts or RNA, other specialized databases are there. Also, you have some specific, for example, if you are looking for Bacillus thuringiensis, you can type on the name of the organism here, and only against that particular, the sequence will be compared with only against that particular organism's database. So there are various options, but if you select nucleotide collection as the default, which is the default one, and that will give you a broad range of search in all the entire database of the NCBI, and all the possible hits will be returned. So this is about specifying the database in this region. So giving the sequence in different form and selecting the database. And nucleotide collection is the complete NCBI database for the nucleotides. Then at the bottom portion, as I mentioned, there are three different options. Highly similar sequences, which is a megablast. So initially, that will be done. And if you are not getting any query, any results, and because if there is no matches were found, then you can bring down the stringency. A discontinuous megablast can be performed for more dissimilar sequences, and somewhat similar sequences, maybe a 50% similarity if you are looking for that one. Then you can sequentially bring down the stringency of the blast to somewhat similar sequences. That is a normal blast n, and finally you can click on the blast button. So the result will be displayed. And actually, this is an old screenshot. This is taken maybe a very long back. It's actually 10 or 11 years back screenshot is there. So you can see that nowadays the graphical interface may be slightly different, but still the NCBI provides you with a color-coded alignment of different sequences or different matches, and it also gives you some the query ID and the total length, the query length, etc. will be shown here. Now, when we come to the list of the alignments, initially there will be the significant alignments will be listed on the top, and if you have the exact match, that will be on the first one. So here you have the total alignment score, maximum score, total alignment score, and query coverage. It is query coverage 100% means your sequence is having complete coverage, or entire 100%. For example, 500 bases were there in your sequence, and the entire 500 bases will have or were aligned against the database. So if the query coverage is not up to that 100%, that means your sequence is having 500 base pairs, and the database sequence were having only 450 base pairs. In that case, your query coverage will be less, because at least some of the regions of your DNA is not matching. So that's what query coverage means. Whether your entire query sequences were covered in that target. That is the query coverage. Then the E-value is the statistical value or the expectation value. We'll discuss it in another slide. So that E-value is actually the significance level of this of that similarity. Then below that there will be sequences aligned, and for example, the first sequence in the list will be aligned with your query subject 1. So the subject 1 is the first one listed. The subject 2 is the second one listed, and below that page, it is a very long list, and every sequences listed in the top will be compared using a pairwise alignment and displayed in the results, so that you can select and download and use it for various purposes. So that is explained in the practical sessions on the BLAST. Now the method of this BLAST, it involves at least 2 or 3 steps. Now the basic procedure involves the first step, that is seeding. Seeding means it removes the low complexity regions of the sequence, like sequence repeats or in the query sequence. If there is repeat sequences in that region, it is quite difficult to align the repeats, sequence repeats, because say a 5-letter repeats, a 10 times repeat of a 5-letter code, if it is there in the sequence, the alignment program will find it difficult to align where it is to be aligned. So usually when constructing such a, as before starting the BLAST algorithm will avoid such low complexity regions from the comparison. Then that will be later aligned. Now make a keyword list of the query sequence, then list all the possible matching words, and this keyword and the query list or matching words, etc., that terms were already discussed in the previous sessions. So it will generate a word list, then organize the remaining high scoring words into a efficient search tree. Then these steps will be repeated if it is required. So finally you will avoid the low complexity regions and generate the keyword list, and a search tree will be constructed. Then scan the database sequences for exact matches. So the database sequence will be compared against your query words that is generated. So this part is already discussed in one of the previous sessions, where what is keyword and how the query words were generated, etc., were already addressed. So accordingly, by after removing the low complexity regions, it will be the keywords will be generated, and that list of the keywords will be queried against the database words. So say this is a query word, it will be broken up into different words of length k, and your database query will be again constructed. Database query words will be constructed. It will be searched against this list. Okay. So this is how it will be compared against each and every word of the sequence. And once these sequences were identified where some matches are there, that will be aligned. So the result is that after the process of seeding, what happens if there is a match in the database sequence with your query word, in that region it will be aligned. So this type of sequences were known as high scoring segment pairs, HSPs. High scoring segment pairs because they are actually very highly conserved regions which will have a direct match in the sequence. So that were identified, that type of sequences or regions will be identified initially. So that's the first part of seeding. So your query words will be seeded against the database sequences, and wherever such matches were found, so that regions were identified, and it is known as a high scoring segment pairs. Now, the second step is the extension, seed and extend. Once it is seeded, that your words, query words were seeded and the target in this it is aligned with the target sequence. Then you can go to the second step. Each seeded word will be extended on both ends. So this starting from one end, it will look for additional matches and on both sides. Okay, maybe some mutations or something will be there, and or some other base changes will be there, and by the alignment algorithms like say Smith-Waterman or algorithm will work on local alignments, and it will proceed with alignment on both sides, and that is the extension process in which initially seeded word will be extended on both sides. And if there is a two words were joined together, then that will be joined as a cluster. So seed, extend, and join the highly similar words. So this process will continue, and then the BLAST extends matches in both directions, starting at the seed. Then the ungapped alignment process extends the initial seed match of length W in each direction in order to boost the alignment scores. So at each step of extension, seeding and extension on both sides, the alignment score will be calculated, and the high scoring alignments will be selected. So we will have some maximal segment pairs and high scoring segment pairs where the alignment score will be maximum. And at the last stage, BLAST performs a gapped alignment between the query sequence and the database sequence using the variation of a Smith-Waterman algorithm. So these say if once it is even after extending, say a simple extension, if there are some regions, these regions can be aligned by inserting gaps using Smith-Waterman algorithm. Okay, so initial seeding results in proper alignment of the entire segment, and then finally Smith-Waterman algorithm will be used for filling the gap, filling this region, aligning this region using localized alignment using Smith-Waterman algorithm, and usually it involves the insertion of the gaps. Okay. So the extend method can be explained something like this. They extend the exact matches to high scoring segment pairs. So it will extend on both sides to create the high scoring segment pairs. So if it is a high scoring segment pair, the value of the score alignment score will be high. List all the possible high scoring segment pairs in the database whose score is high enough to be considered. Evaluate the significance or the statistical significance of that HSP score, that alignment score or segment score. We are not talking about the entire region or the entire sequence will have any value, but HSPs will have a separate value. So if you are aligning that one, initially you need to check the scores of the high scoring segments or that localized alignments. So if that value is sufficiently high to be considered, then the E-value will be calculated, statistical probability value will be calculated, and that's to determine the E-value. and make two or more HSP regions into a longer alignment. If you are joining two HSP regions by then you will get a longer alignment, and so the gapped Smith-Waterman local alignments of the query and each of the matched database sequence. So finally, the gaps will be inserted using local alignment algorithm, and finally you will have the entire DNA sequence aligned. So here we have the seeding with the words, and extension means the words will be extended on both sides, and finally the Smith-Waterman algorithm are used for aligning this region by inserting gaps, and finally these regions will be joined together and you will have an extended longer segment. So this is the BLAST result page that is previously shown. Here you have maximum score, a total score, query coverage, e-value. So the e-value is a significant one that we want to discuss. The BLAST e-value is the number of expected hits of a similar quality that could be found just by chance. So anyway, you are getting a significance value for every statistical procedure, even p-value or something. You are comparing that result or your result with another result that might have been occurred by a chance. So if the same result can be occurred by a random event or a chance event, then you can't say that your value is significant. So e-value is the number of expected hits of a similar quality or similar score that can occur by a fault or a chance. So if the e-value is higher, that means your alignment is not good. So e-value 10 means that up to 10 hits can be expected just by chance. So if you are saying that your alignment score is having a value e-value of 1, that means you can expect at least 10 wrong alignments, just like that one, by chance. So the e-value should be 0 or closer to 0 to become significant, because if it is 0, that means there is no chance alignments of that matter that manner. That's the result of the e-value. So if you can interpret the e-value should be closer to 0, so that we are saying that there is no random occurrence of such alignments or by chance alignment of that of the same score or alignment score will not be possible at all. So that's what a 0 e-value means. So if the value of the E is closer to 0, then the alignment is the best one. So here in the previous case, you can see that the initially listed one, both the items were having e-value 0. That means it is almost exactly the same. The only difference is that the query coverage is 98% because this is a shorter one. Say you will have 798 here and 787 here. So maybe the second sequence is an mRNA sequence, which is actually shorter one compared to your query sequence. That's why you have only 98% query coverage. But still it is having 100% e-value 0 because all the available regions were completely aligned. There is no gaps at all. But when we come to the other sequences, we have a query coverage, lesser query coverage, and the overall score is less, query coverage is less, and the e-value will again increase. So the increasing e-value indicates the sequences were more distant. So this is another representation in which you can see the identical proteins where you have a e-value of 10 raised to minus 100. That means point after the point there will be 100 zeros before 1. So for exactly identical proteins or identical proteins, that will be almost 0, and it will be 0. If it is the same protein, that e-value will be 0 because there is no chance alignment at all. And nearly identical proteins, that will be 50 to 10 raised to minus 15 to 10 raised to minus 100. Still it is very low. And for homologous proteins, 10 raised to minus 5 to 10 raised to 50. Distantly homologous, 10 raised to minus 1 to 10 raised to minus 1. Here you have a 0.1 value. 10 raised to minus 1 means 0.1. So if your e-value is 0.1, that means it is only a random match, and you can expect such matches at least once in a 10 sequence alignment. So that's about the e-value. Now the next one is bit score. Bit score means the higher the bit score, the better the sequence similarity. So that's what we want to consider. So in the e-value, the lower the e-value, the better the alignment. Whereas the higher the bit score, the better the sequence similarity. So the bit score is the required size of a sequence database in which the current match could be found just by chance. For example, uh, as we have discussed in one of the previous sessions, with the increase in size of the database, there are increasing possibilities of finding random matches. As I mentioned, if you are looking for a person, just like you in Kerala, you may not be found, or you are looking for a simple in entire India, then you may find at least one person, and if you are looking overall the world, you may find 6 or 7 persons. So it is because you are having a very large query coverage, and your database size is increasing where you are looking for, and that means random matches will be or finding such random matches will be increasing with the size of the database. So the bit score is the required size of a sequence database in which a current match could be found by a chance. So you can't expect, say, a similar person in Kerala. So so the population of Kerala is not the bit score. But if you can find one person in India, just like you by chance, so that means the bit score of the population size is 130 crores or something, or the entire Indian population. So the bit score is the size of the database that is required to find a random chance. Okay, the bit score is a log2 scaled and a normalized row score. Each increase by one doubles the required database size. So this bit score does not depend on the database size. That's another point where the increasing size of the database, actually one of the major problem is that NCBI database size is continuously increasing. So NCBI database size, if you are finding more and more matches with the increasing size or random matches with the increasing size of the NCBI database, then there is a problem because your random occurrence will increase with the size of the database, and you know that the NCBI database is actually exponentially increasing. So yeah, bit score is another consideration in which the size of the database is or growing size of the database is not relevant because you can find the same number. Actually, you are looking for just one chance encounter in the population size of the database that is required for finding one chance. So as in the previous case, the entire population of India, that means 135 crores or 130 crores, is the size of the database that is required to find a one chance. And the remaining world population or the overall world population may be 700 crores or 1000 crores or 10,000 crores. Probably it will be increasing. Still, your entire initial database size is same. Okay, because you are saying that you will find one match in a size of 130 crores. So that is actually a fixed one. So for every 130 crores, you can have another match, but a chance encounter, a single chance encounter is actually limited to 130 crores. So that means the bit score is actually a fixed size of the database in which the chance encounter can occur. So if there is a further growth of the population to 135 to say 600 or 1,000 crores, that doesn't matter. Still, the bit score is 135 because in every 135 you can find one match. So that's the bit score. So bit score is a calculation. It frees the doubling size of the database. Okay. So bit score doesn't depend on the database size. Bit score gives the same value of hits in the database of different sizes and hence can be used for searching in a constantly increasing database. Okay. So that's the concept of the bit score. Is it clear?
Sir.
Okay. Then the next one is about the p-value. P-value gives a probability to find a match of this quality or better and p-values are usually are 0 to 1, and you know that. E-values are 0 to infinity, and for small e-values, E is equal to P. That's some general statements. So then another one is a z-score. Z-score gives the distance between the actual alignment score and the mean of the scores for the randomized sequence expressed as multiples of standard deviation calculated from the randomized scores. So that's some statistical explanations. Anyway, I'm not going to that region. So in statistics, z-scores tells us how many standard deviations away a given value lies from the mean. So usually, for every statistical result, you can have a mean or a normal line that can be drawn. So if your actual observation is lying away from the mean or the expected observation, then that indicates a deviation from the general trend. Okay. So the z-score actually tells you how many standard deviations away are your actual value lies. So if you are much more your result is far away from the actual expectation value, then that will make you that will be a problem, because there is a normal standard deviation or there is a normal value that is expected for or a mean value that is expected, and if your observation is away from the mean value by score z, then with the increase in the z value, you are that means with the increase in the z value, you are moving far and far away from the mean. So which will reduce the significance. So your statistical significance will be reduced if you are moving more and more away from the mean or expected value. So a positive z-score means the individual value is greater than the mean. A negative z-score means the individual value is less than the mean, and a z-score of 0 means the individual value is exactly as that of the mean. So the larger the absolute value of the z-score, the farther away the individual value lies from the mean. So this z value or z-score is actually a statistical measure for testing the significance of your results or the reliability of your results. So if your observation or your prediction is far away from the mean or expected mean, then that means it is become less and less significant. Okay. So that can be calculated based on the z-score table, and this is a table, z-score table, that is already available. So you can calculate the value based on the z-score and how that can be interpreted. This is the z-score table, and you can see how it is done. For example, the test scores of a students in a class test has a mean of 70. So the entire test score, mean test score of a class of student is 70 with a standard deviation of 12. So what is the probable percentage of the students scored more than 85? So if you have such a condition with a mean score of the class 70 and a standard deviation of 12, what is the probable percentage of the students scored more than 85? So if you want to calculate that one. So this is a formula for z-score, where from the 85, that is the expected value, and you will reduce the mean or you subtract the mean, and you will divide it with the standard deviation, and you will get a score. So the z-score of the given data is 1.25. So if you have the z-score, you have the z-score table. So here 1.25, where you will see where the 1.25 lies. Okay, say 1.2 and 1.25, something like that. Okay, so from the table you will see where the 1.25 lies, and from that value, that is a say 0.8944. So this is it, this value 1.2 and 0.05, 1.25, this is the value. So this 0.8944 is the actual value that can be extracted from the z-score table. This means that 89, and you have to multiply it with 100 to make it percentage. This means that 89.44% of the students are within the test score of 85, and hence the percentage of students who are scoring above 85 will be this one. That is 10.56% of the students will be scoring more than 85. So likewise, it can be calculated. So the probable for every every scenario, you can calculate the probable score, which will be or which can be extracted from a value of a mean value and a standard deviation. You can calculate the z score, and this is how it is done. So the z score is actually a measure of the deviation from the mean. So if your actual value is more deviating from the mean, that means that will reduce the significance of the results. So this is the different concepts about the BLAST. Is there any questions? Hello?
Yes, sir.